and joy they had found. The head nurse spoke up. She said, leave this one alone. You could tell right away I was bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Bad to the bone. Hey guys, Gregory here. Today we're going to be doing a really fun song. It's going to be by George Thorogood. So of course that means it's bad to the bone. Now this song is really fun. It has just basically one riff that's played throughout, but we're going to try to find different ways to kind of play it to match the energy of the song throughout. Now this song was a request by one of you. If any of you have any song requests, feel free to leave that down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to do a lesson on it when I can. And of course, if you do enjoy these lessons, please be sure to like, share and subscribe, as it will help me to grow the channel. Let's get to the lesson. We're going to be using a capo on the 3rd fret to play this song. Now if you don't have a capo, you can follow everything that I show you in this lesson and it will work just fine. It will just sound a bit lower than the original song. Alright, now in addition to that, there are two techniques that are rather important to really get the sound that we're looking for in this song. They are two techniques that I don't speak a lot about on this channel, but I do think I have lessons on it. The first technique is a technique called palm muting, and the second technique is really a left-hand technique where we sort of create, I guess you can call it bar chords, but we're actually going to be playing power chords. But the technique of holding the power chord is the same as holding a bar chord. Alright, so let's talk about the first one, which is palm muting. Now the technique of palm muting is really what we call like a dynamic. It allows us to play the same note, but it rings out with less of an intensity. So it gives us a sort of mellow sound as opposed to the sound of a note ringing out that is not palm muting, right? So it's a very low dynamic, and we're going to be using it in the verses. So it gives us that kind of low groovy sound. Now to create a palm mute, we're going to be using the soft part of the palm, the side of it, and we're going to place it right where the bridge meets the strings. Now you don't have to cover all 6 strings in this song because we're really only aiming to hit the 6th string and at times also the 5th string. So as long as the palm is touching the 6th and the 5th strings, we're fine. Don't try to cover all 6. Alright, so it's on the 5th, 6th and 5th strings, and my palm is right around where the bridge and the strings meet. Alright, and then what you want to do is let's just hit the 6th string. Now we want to get a sound that sounds somewhat muted. So this is what it sounds like without palm muting, and this is what it sounds like with palm muting. Alright, without and then with palm muting. Now if you're not getting this sound, you may want to experiment with where exactly your hand is resting. You want to consider maybe your hand might be too much on top of the bridge, so you're not actually getting it. Or if it's actually too far towards the neck, you would get a sound that sounds more percussive than a note. So it sounds more like a click, right? But if we get it in the right spot, we get a sort of ringing sound that's a bit deadened and it sounds really nice and woolly, okay? So you want to practice that technique. If you have an electric guitar with distortion, that's actually probably a really good way to practice this technique because you can really hear the difference between a regular note and a palm muted one if you just crank up the distortion. Alright, so spend some time practicing it and try to get the hang of it from not having your hand on the guitar and then just reaching for it, and see how quickly you can get that sweet spot to get that palm muted note ringing out. Alright, so that's the first technique that we'll need to play the riff. The second technique really comes from just playing bar chords. It's the way that we position the hand to play bar chords. But more specifically, we're going to be playing what we call a power chord or power chords in this song. And if you're not sure what any of those are, well, a power chord is really just a small chord, but it's being held in a way that you may not be used to. Alright? Okay, so let me explain that. So one of the first things we're going to need to do to get a power chord is we're going to have the first finger rest on the neck in a way where the finger is vertical, very similar to the metallic lines on the neck. So if you can look at that line there, this finger is really in alignment with that. Okay? And that's the first thing that we want. And to achieve that, you can think of positioning your hand in this way. Imagine having your hand straight out like this. It's flat. It's not like pointing down or up. Straight out. You want to make a U with your thumb and your first finger. Try not to let your hand tilt up or tilt down when you do this. It should still be relatively flat. Okay? And then we're just going to place the neck right in it between that U. Or rather, you're going to place your hand so that the neck falls in between that U. And let's do it on the 3rd fret. So the U is on the 3rd fret. And I'm just going to gently, I'm not going to squeeze it yet. I'm just going to gently clamp my finger and my thumb. Right? And hopefully, we should have this shape. Now, your hand can do a lot of things while it's here. If it starts to tilt this way, you would find that your finger would point towards you, or the opposite could happen. But we want to try to align the hand in such a way that the finger is fairly straight. Okay, this is good bar chord technique. I would say for power chords, which is what we're going to play in this song, you can get away with not having perfect technique. So even if your finger's a little tilted, it might be fine. But what's going to happen if your hand is tilted this way, it's going to pull this finger further away from where we need it to go, which is going to be 2 frets away. So it is still really a good idea to try to have this finger as straight as this line on the neck. All right? Also, another very important thing, make sure your thumb does not get too high, because when your thumb gets high, this joint is going to start to bend and come off the neck. All right? And once again, for power chords, it's something you can get away with, but the technique for power chords and the technique for bar chords should be the same. So try not to have your thumb in a position where this happens. You want to have it low enough, and definitely not too low. You just want to have it low enough so that this does not happen. It's nice and flat. And also, you don't want your thumb to be away from the hand. Your thumb should be more or less behind the finger, just like in the shape of the U that I showed you before. So we have it, and it's right there on the 3rd fret. All right? Now, once we have this shape here, we want to try to get the 3rd finger to come 2 frets away in this case. So my first finger is on the 3rd fret, and my 3rd finger is now going to come on the 5th fret, and it's going to go on the 5th string. Now, in this case, we are going to have the top of the finger pressing down the 5th string. One thing I did forget to mention is when we have the first finger on the 6th string, this finger, we are actually pressing down the string with the flat side here, right? So right where my pick is around where I feel the string being pressed. It's not actually being pressed with the first finger on top, like what you would usually do for open chords, right? This is a different technique. So this one is being pressed like that, but this finger, you should feel the tip of the finger on top of the string, all right? And that would give us the shape of our power chord. Now, another thing, it's a lot of things to take in here, so if you need to rewind the video and watch over the parts of it. Another thing we need to keep in mind is with power chords, all of this finger is flat, and it is lined across all 6 strings, and it is indeed touching all of the strings. We are really only using this finger to play one note, and that is the note on the 6th string. So you only need to press the tip of the finger right around here. You don't need to squeeze the whole finger, that is wasted energy. And also because once the finger is lying across the strings and it is touching the strings, it's going to mute every other string but the one that we pressed in here on top. And we want that because that gives us a very controlled sound. So I could strum all 6 strings, but all I hear is one note and a bunch of clicks, right? And that's perfect for playing this song, right? If I was to add the other finger, now I should only hear 2 notes, this string and the 5th string. So if I were to strum, I would only hear those 2 notes ring out. But if I had an improper technique, well, now I'm hearing a lot of other notes that I don't want to hear. So having the finger flat and touching all 6 strings is really important to get in that control sound. So you may want to spend quite a bit of time practicing this, right? Once you get it and you think you're hearing the correct sound, just take your hand off and then try to get back in that position, right? That's a good way to practice. Once you get it, take your hand off, try to get it back, rewind the video as much as you can to try to understand all the steps it takes to get there. All right, so those are the two techniques that we really need to play the riff of the song. We have the palm muting technique, and then we have this technique of using a bar to create power chords. So let's actually get into the fun part of the song now, which is the main riff. Hey guys, so I have multiple resources that will help you to improve your strum if that is something you're looking to do. If you are unsatisfied with the way that your strumming sounds, a lot of people complain about the way that they strum songs, by the way. And if you're one of those people who are just a bit unsatisfied and think that you need something to improve or to add some zest to the way that you strum sound, check out the links that I have down below. One of them is a free short lesson that addresses strumming techniques and things you can use to control the way that your strum sounds. And the second one is a full course that goes through everything that you need to know when it comes to strumming, including coming up with your own strumming patterns. So if you think those things take an interest, check out the links that I have down in the description. So here is how you play the main riff. I have two ways of doing it. You can use either one or you can combine the two. I like to combine the two because it really helps me to emphasize the differences between the verses and the chorus. So here is option one. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now the alternative to doing option one that sort of matches the energy of the verse is to do that same thing but just add palm muting. So if I was to do that again with palm muting, it now sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. So playing it in that way really kind of goes with the verses of the song. So what am I doing there? I'm playing, there are 3 notes that I'm playing. We have the open, the 5th fret relative to where the capo is, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll use my 3rd finger. You can use maybe your 1st finger entirely if you want. You can use your 1st finger for the whole riff. It's up to you, but I'll use my 3rd finger. Then we have a note on the 3rd fret, 6th string. And that's it, 3 notes. Open, 5th fret, 3rd fret. And the riff goes like this. Open, open, 5, open, 3, open. Right? Open, open, 5, open, 3, open. It's a little difficult to kind of see what I'm playing. And then it sort of repeats. So you have ba-da-dee-da-da-da, ba-da, ba-da-ba-bee-ba-ba-ba. One thing to note, it starts ba-da, but when it repeats, it just goes ba-dee-da-da-dum. Just look to the diagram, it will kind of help to explain what I'm doing. Alright? Now, one other thing that I'm doing to really kind of help bring out the groove is after I play open, open, 5, open, 3, open, I immediately mute these strings because it really kind of helps it to sound a bit more groovy. Right? If you want, you can have it ring out. I think especially for the choruses that might be fine to let it ring out. And that's basically the first option of playing the song. And if we just add palm muting to that, it will really help to go with the verses. On the day I was born, the nurses all gathered round, and they gazed in wide wonder at the joy they had found. The head nurse spoke up. She said, "Leave this one alone." She could tell right away I was bad to the bone. Open. Bad to the bone. Bad to the bone. Right? So you see, switching from palm muted to non-palm muted could really help to bring out the energy of the riff. Alright, so now let's look at the other way of playing it. The other way uses power chords, and it gives us a slightly more thickened sound. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a combination of what we just did with the power chord version. So it's the same notes in a way. Instead of just open, we have now this power chord, right, with the finger on the 2nd fret, 5th string. So the first finger is lying flat across 5 strings, but it's only pressing the 5th string, and the 6th string is open. So if you were to strum, we have this power chord, this open power chord. And then the second one, the second chord, is the first finger now on the 5th fret of the 6th string. So now it's covering all 6 strings, but it's only pressing down the 6th string, and then we add the 3rd finger 2 frets away onto the 5th string. And remember, try to have this finger only pressing the 6th string, and then it's muting everything else. So that way, if you accidentally strum more than just 2, which you probably will do, you only hear those 2 strings. And then the 3rd chord, we just take the shape and we shift it 2 frets back. And we have 3rd chord, but it's the same shape, power chords. You just take one shape and you just shift it left and right. And then we have, once again, the first one. Okay? Now, I use a combination of the two. So I'll put the diagram on the screen, but let me explain what I'm doing. The first option sounded like this. Right? Now what I'm going to do is those first 2 open strings, I'm not going to play it as a power chord. I'm just going to let it, I'm going to play it rather as just the open 6th string. And then I'm going to play the power chord on the 5th fret. So what I'm actually doing to make life a little easy is before I even start playing this song, my hand is already on the 5th fret. My 3rd finger is on the 7th fret, 5th string. And what I do to get that open sound, I just take my first finger off. So when I play the first 2 notes, I just drop it down because my hand is already in position, and it makes it easy to just play those first couple of strums. Right, so we have da da dee, and then we have the open 6th string. And as I play that open 6th string, I'm already moving towards the 3rd fret. So we have da da dee da, and I'm going to play the next power chord on the 3rd fret, da. And then what I do here is I play the open string again, the 6th string, and what follows next is I may use the next power chord, the power chord with the first finger on the 2nd fret and the open E, and I might use that one because that one sounds nice and full. Right? So let's kind of take it in the context of the verse. So in the verse, I would apply palm muting. So same thing, you have the open, right? And then, so there's just one point between the 3rd fret and the open where I just hit the 6th string alone, and that really just gives me a little moment to get to the power chord version of the open. Right, because I really want the sound of that power chord for the bum, 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 bum. Right? Or if you want, you could not play that open E power chord and we could just do this. Just leave it all to the open 6th string. And that makes it a bit easier. Right? Okay, so that's basically how we play the riff for the verses. Now when we get to the choruses, it's the same idea, but now we're just not palm muting. So we have, I'll just start with the open 6th string. Back to the verses. Chorus now. Right, and that's basically how you can play the entire song. Like I said, you can use the first option of just playing the open 6th string, or you can try using the power chords. The option is yours. It's a lot of explaining. It's a seemingly simple, short riff, but there's a lot going on there. But it's a really fun challenge if this sort of thing is new to you. So that is it for the lesson. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, as it will help me to grow the channel. And of course, if you have any song requests, any lesson requests, leave them down in the comment section and I'll be sure to do a lesson on it. But until next time, goodbye.